I blame My Girl. The movie My Girl, have you ever seen that movie? Comment down below if you've seen My Girl. Theory that I watched that movie so many times and that's where my deathly fear of bees comes from. Like, I've run into traffic because I saw a bee just pop up next to me. Hey guys, what's up? My name is Janice and this is my lifestyle channel where I'm focusing on cleaning motivation, organization for a better life, and also a few vlogs thrown in there. So thank you so much for tuning in today. A couple of you who have subscribed recently asked for more videos regarding Florida because you're also thinking about the move. If you are, best of luck to you. I can tell you from experience, I've been down here since the middle of January. It is now the beginning of April. And for me personally, just being in a state where there's almost constant sunshine so far, instant mood lifter. And for me, that's a big deal because I've always suffered from all sorts of, shifts in my mood and just feeling depressed. And New York City is not the place for people like me. Anyway, I'm totally digressing. The point of this video today is to share 7 things that you should probably consider, like seriously consider before you move down to Florida. I will always sing Florida's praises. I think it is a beautiful state. I think on the average, the people are great there. I want you to have the best life that you possibly can. And if any of these really would truly hinder you from that, then maybe it is a good thing to consider it before deciding to move down here. So without further ado, let's get right on into number 1, the heat. Coming from New York City, we had 4 different seasons, although the last few years it's felt like we've only had 3 seasons. We've just gone from really cold to then just hot. Florida is a huge state, so much bigger than New York is. So I know that the temperatures throughout the state of Florida tend to differ throughout the year. But on an average, in the summertime, statewide, the average temperature goes from the low 90s to mid 90s. And if you've been in Florida in the summertime, know that it'll probably, more than likely, creep above that mid 90s mark and head more towards the 100, or at least it will feel like it's 100 degrees. Just keep that in mind. If heat is not your jam, then maybe this might not be a good move for you. Tied into number 1 is number 2. Because you have high temperatures, but also Florida is known for its humidity. It is crazy humid here, you guys, especially in the summer months. So again, if that is not for you, you know yourself. You know how you feel when it gets humid. You feel a little bit of humidity. You don't like that sticky feeling like you're perpetually wet, then this may not be for you. Before you make the move, I would highly suggest coming down in the summer months so that you can test out the heat, test out the humidity, and see if it's for you. Again, it all depends on where you are in Florida. I feel like some places might be more humid than others. But yeah, if you don't like feeling sticky, you don't like that you just did your hair for an hour and you step outside and it goes poof, then I might reconsider moving to Florida. The third thing to consider are the bugs. For some people, it could be a deal breaker. I'm afraid, but I am not so deathly afraid that it would change my mind. And if you are deathly afraid of bugs, which I know there are some people out there who are, then maybe consider looking into all of the insects that are here that might really bug you. And I didn't even mean to do that, like, it might bug you. Yeah, look into all of those insects that would make you want to sell or burn down your house. Like if that's you, then maybe look into that and see what you can handle. We have a townhouse. If you want to see the tour, I'll plug it in here as well. And we have a patio and there's a lot of greenery around. It would be very stupid of me to not think that there are a bunch of bugs and everything crawling around in that grass or in those trees or in my mulch outside. So you have to account for that. You have to know that it's going to happen. But rather save you the trip and the money by telling you this now before you come down here and realize once a love bug hits you in the forehead outside while you're walking your dog that this is not for you. The 4th thing to consider now is, can you handle the wildlife? Ever since moving down here to Florida, I joke with my family who's still up north in New York that moving to Florida has felt like we've moved in the middle of a little zoo. because just washing my dishes in my kitchen, I have a window that stares out the front of the house. And just standing there, I have seen all sorts of birds come across the lawn. I've had a couple of lizards come up onto the bricks outside of my window and just sunbathe there. So it's pretty cool, and I can pick up the kids, they can look out the window and they'll see like a different animal every day. I think it's pretty cool. We've also seen frogs. There was a toad sitting on my my water hose outside. Like a legit toad, like this big. And now I'm afraid it might be one of those poisonous toads, because there are also, thank God I thought about that, because that wasn't even on my list here. There are certain things here that will try to kill either you or your pet. And there are the obvious ones, you know, your alligators, if you bother them. So I've heard. I'm not willing to put that to the test though. There are poisonous toads that live in Florida, and they are definitely a danger to your pets. Your dogs, especially since they're the more curious ones. The cats will probably not want to go outside that much, I don't think. But dogs, you know, definitely like to sniff around, lick things. So there's a toad that they release this milky substance from their glands, and it is definitely poisonous. It can harm or even kill your doggy. If you have pets that you're going to be bringing down with you, please also take that into consideration and maybe try to look up pictures of these toads so that you can be more aware of them. Since moving down here, I've been looking up pictures of toads that could kill my sister's dog. I've been looking up different pictures of different snakes so that I know I can hopefully learn to tell the difference between your garden variety snake that is just kind of, you know, slithering through, and which one could actually do some harm to you, your kid, your animals, whatever. You know, with a move comes a lot of education. I was born and raised in New York. I kind of learned as I grew up the different things that you need to know to make it in New York. Now I've moved down to Florida, and with that move comes a whole new education of different things. People don't consider that. In some parts of Florida, they even have larger cats that you have to watch out for, like bobcats and panthers. So just educate yourself on the wildlife of wherever you're planning to live as well, and see if that is something that you could possibly handle. Okay, number 5, the hurricane. This is definitely a big one to consider. Hurricane season here in Florida goes from June 1st all the way to November 30th. But I think what stuck out to me is that it's almost like half of the year you spend in hurricane season, because you're talking about June 1st. So June, July 1st, August 1st, September 1st, October 1st, November 1st, that's 5 months. And then you're almost going to December 1st, it's just the day before. So technically it's 6 months of hurricane season here in Florida. Height of the hurricane season, if I remember correctly also, is August and September. If hurricanes are really something that scares you, then I would suggest really picking the place that you're going to move to with care. The hurricanes come off of the ocean, so who's going to be the first one to get hit and hit the hardest with the winds and the rain? The coastal cities. So I would suggest to you maybe consider cities that are more, I'm sorry, that's my sister's dog making noise. Consider cities that are more in central Florida and maybe a little bit more up north. The further up north that you are, the more likely you are to just get some maybe crazy rain and maybe a little bit of wind. But by the time the hurricane has kind of worked itself in off of the ocean, through the coastal cities and into the mainland of Florida, like in the middle and north, you're probably just going to get maybe a few gusts of wind and some crazy rain, but nothing like the power that the coastal cities feel when it comes off of the ocean. For the most part, there is a fair amount of warning with these hurricanes, so that if you feel the need and you don't want to be there, you can at least go further up north. The 6th thing to consider before moving down to Florida are sinkholes. They happen when the ground around you is just not healthy. There's a bunch of erosion happening underneath, usually a lot of water and all sorts of stuff. And you tend to see more sinkhole activity happening in the west central Florida. And these suckers can be anywhere from a couple inches long to a couple of miles long. Sinkholes open up. It literally just is the ground opening up, and it will swallow anything that's sitting on that land. So if your car is there, your house is there, when a sinkhole decides to open up, say goodbye to your car and your house. Luckily, this is another one of those things from what I've read. You can correct me down below if you've lived in Florida, you know more about sinkholes than I do, then leave it down below in the comments. But from what I've read so far, sinkholes don't tend to just, again, happen overnight. I'm not saying that it can't happen or that it hasn't happened overnight, that things didn't suddenly happen. For the most part, I believe that sinkholes tend to start giving you signs before they even happen. So you start to see like shifts and that lead to like cracks in your house or in your ceiling, and then you know there's something that needs to get checked out. So there you go. Finally, the seventh thing that I want you to consider before moving down to Florida is the employment market. And we told somebody that we were considering moving down to Florida. They mentioned about the job market, they mentioned about the pay rate and all of that, and that the job market isn't that strong here. I don't know what it is, but a lot of people like to talk about it without even knowing anything about it. Like they just, it's like a echo chamber, and they just repeat what someone else has told them. So let me just give you guys some facts. So yes, the pay rate down here in Florida is less. Currently, the minimum wage here in Florida is $8.56. And they voted to increase the minimum wage to $15. So, and it is true that coming from a city like New York or maybe LA, that you're going to take a pay cut. My sister is a teacher, and she has taught in New York for the past, I think, 4 years maybe now. And there are some schools that she's been applying to down here in Florida that they have offered her half of what she was making in New York. Be prepared to possibly take a pay cut, and a large one at that. Now, in terms of the job pool, here in Florida, I've seen a lot of now hiring signs. I've seen a lot of hiring posts on Indeed and Monster.com. So it's not like there aren't jobs here in Florida. It's a matter of people looking, I guess, for specific jobs, or they want jobs making this much money or whatever. And sometimes, you know, you come down here, it's a matter of working your way up a little bit. But to say that there are no jobs here in Florida, I don't think that is a very fair or true statement. I don't think it's something to really be afraid of, that if you come down here, you're not gonna find any work. I don't think that's a thing. If you have experience in certain things, of course, it's gonna be a little bit easier. If you're coming down with a career, especially in education, they are really looking and grabbing for good educators down here, people with experience. They are also looking for people in the healthcare fields. I feel like you will be okay. If you're coming down with office experience, I feel like you would also be okay. So just to give you an idea, when my husband and I came down in January, he didn't really start his search for like a couple of weeks. It was like we were just kind of using those first couple of weeks to really get situated. But after those couple of weeks, he really started sending off his resume to different places. Started working on March 1st. So let's take into consideration, we got here middle of January. He spent the first couple of weeks just kind of like on a little mini vacation before he went back into the grind of things. And then within that month, or like 2 to 3 weeks, he had already found a job, gotten hired, and had a start date. And he is working in a real estate office, which is something that he has always wanted to do in New York, but they wouldn't cut him a break because it's freaking New York and New York real estate. But down here in Florida, they saw a young, clean gentleman that came down from New York with some sort of office experience, and they snatched him up after a couple of rounds of interviews. It has a whole bunch of moving parts that you have to consider when you consider the job market down here, but don't just think that there are no jobs in Florida and that it's a dead end. It's not. It is Monday, and usually Monday they take care of the grass, so all the people are out there mowing the lawns, and of course it scares the little doggy. I know, relax, come. All right, come, you're okay. I know it's always going to be a roll of the dice. I mean, if you're moving from one state to another, you should already know that it's going to be a roll of the dice. Anyway, with everything, there's work and there's money if you want there to be work and money. And that's that. But yeah, I hope you'll take all 7 of those things into consideration before moving down. Let me know down below which one maybe shocked you, which one is making you reconsider moving. Or let me know if you don't care about any of what I just said and you're still coming down anyway. You're my type of people. If you enjoyed this video, if you got anything out of it, I would definitely appreciate a thumbs up on it, because it does help my video get more traction and it does help my channel. Also, if you're not subscribed to my channel already, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the little bell right next to it, because that will help notify you when more of my videos go up on my channel. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.